Hello, and welcome to Mastermind with me, John Humphrys. In the spotlight tonight are Peter Almond, a retired solicitor whose specialist subject is the Montgomery Bus Boycott. Jonathan Sargent, a data analyst who'll be answering questions on The Crown. Kitty Grant, a medico-legal consultant whose subject is the history of anaesthesia. And Jacqueline Jones, a yoga teacher whose subject is Stormzy. Four contenders, each waiting to take their place in the black chair. It's not just about knowing the answers, of course. It's about the pressure of being in the spotlight and knowing that the clock is ticking away. No time for the luxury of thinking. As always, they get 2 minutes of questions for their specialist subject and then 2.5 minutes for general knowledge. So let's ask our first contender to join us, please. And your name is?
Peter Almond.
Your occupation?
Retired solicitor.
And your chosen subject?
The Montgomery Bus Boycott.
Protest that brought an end to racial segregation on the buses in Montgomery, Alabama. Here we go, 2 minutes. On May the 21st, 1954, Joanne Robinson wrote to the mayor of Montgomery about the treatment of black Americans on the city's buses and raised the possibility of a bus boycott. She was the president of which organization?
The Women's Political Council.
Yep. What was the name of the 15-year-old girl who was arrested in March 1955 when she wouldn't give up her seat on a bus for a white passenger? She said that it felt as though Harriet Tubman's hands were pushing me down on one shoulder and Sojourner Truth's hands were pushing me down on the other shoulder.
Claudette Colvin.
Yep. The boycott was prompted by the arrest of Rosa Parks on December the 1st, 1955, after she had refused to move from the row directly behind the bus's white section. Bus drivers had the right to tell black passengers to move out of that row and the 3 rows behind it. What was the nickname for those rows?
It was called the No Man's Land.
Yes, the Montgomery Improvement Association, known as the MIA, was formed on December the 5th, 1955, with Martin Luther King chosen as its president to coordinate the boycott. And that evening it held a rally at which Baptist church?
Pass.
On January the 23rd, 1956, Mayor Gale announced a new policy on the boycott, which included an end to discussions with the MIA. The policy was known by what 2-word name?
The Get Tough policy.
Yep. In December 1955, the vice president of National City Lines, the parent company of Montgomery's bus company, met the MIA and city officials to try to end the boycott. What was his name?
Totten.
Yep. The attorney, Fred Gray, brought the case known as Browder versus Gale to challenge the legality of bus segregation. The plaintiffs were Aurelia Browder, Claudette Colvin, Mary Louise Smith, and another woman known colloquially as Miss Sue. What was her name?
Susie MacDonald.
Yes. A meeting at Holt Street Baptist Church on December the 5th, 1956 received widespread publicity when Joe Asbell wrote a front-page article the day before in which newspaper?
The Montgomery Advertiser.
Is correct. You have 1 pass, Peter. It was Holt Street Baptist Church where that rally was held. You have scored 7 points.
Thank you.
And our next contender, please. And your name is?
Jonathan Sargent.
Your occupation?
Data analyst.
And your chosen subject?
The Crown.
A television dramatisation of the life of Queen Elizabeth II in 2 minutes. Here we go. The Crown was created by Peter Morgan, was inspired by his own play, which premiered in 2013 and starred Helen Mirren as the Queen. What's the title of the play?
The Audience.
Yep. The Duke of Windsor says he calls the Queen Mother Cookie because she's fat, common and looks like a cook. What's his long-standing nickname for Elizabeth? Partly because she was precocious as a child.
Shirley Temple.
Yes. In the episode Act of God, a secretary to Winston Churchill is knocked down by a bus as she crosses the street in a thick smog. She was on her way to persuade the Prime Minister to provide more help for hospital staff in the crisis. What's her first name?
Venetia.
Yep, the Duke of Edinburgh and his friend Mike Parker are members of a lunch club which meets at Wheeler's Restaurant in Soho. What's the name of the club?
The Thursday Club.
Yep. Which actor plays Professor Hogg, who is hired by the Queen to fill gaps in her education? When she asks for the professor's advice on how to deal with politicians, he says, give them a good dressing down like children. They're English, male and upper class. A good dressing down from nanny is what they most want in life.
Pass.
In Series 2, the Queen learns that a recent guest at Buckingham Palace has called her a middle-aged woman who is incurious, unintelligent and unremarkable. What's the name of that guest?
Jackie Kennedy.
Yes. In the episode Marionettes, Lord Altrincham is hit in the face by a protester outside the Independent Television Network studios. He just recorded an interview with Robin Day on what the Queen's private secretary describes as a programme appropriately called, what?
Impact.
Yep. What nickname does Tony Armstrong-Jones suggest Princess Margaret should use when she signs a mirror using a diamond on her first visit to his photography studio? He says Dirk Bogarde has signed as Snitch and Cleo Lane as Tigger.
Beryl.
Beryl, yes. At a dinner party, the Queen says that her new Prime Minister is neither old nor young, tall nor short, loud nor quiet, warm nor cold. He seems to have come from nowhere and is entirely unremarkable. Which Prime Minister?
Harold Wilson.
Yep. Some of the scenes set inside Buckingham Palace are filmed in the Grand Hall and the Long Gallery of a nearby mansion that overlooks the Mall and is managed by the Foreign and Commonwealth Office. What's the building called?
Lambeth Palace.
Lancaster House. You had one pass, Jonathan, that actor who played Professor Hogg, who, to fill in the gaps of the Queen's education, was Alan Williams. You have scored 8 points. And our next contender, please. And your name is?
Kitty Grant.
Your occupation?
Medico-legal consultant.
And your chosen subject?
The history of anaesthesia.
Anaesthesia in 2 minutes. Here we go. The word anaesthesia is of Greek origin and means without sensation. Its use to describe pain relief during surgery is attributed to an American physician and poet who made the suggestion in a letter to a Boston dentist, William Morton, in 1846. What's the name of that physician?
Wendell Holmes.
Yep. A gas discovered in 1772 by Joseph Priestley was later found by Humphrey Davy to help with pain relief. It went on to be used in dental surgery right up until the 1980s. Which gas?
Nitrous oxide.
Yep. Queen Victoria insisted on an anaesthetic during the birth of her 8th child. In her journal, she referred to the drug as blessed and described the effects as soothing, quieting and delightful beyond measure. Which drug was used?
Chloroform.
Yep. In Austria in the early 1900s, a method of pain relief for women in labour was introduced in which the woman was put into a state of sleep. It became known in English as twilight birth. What's the original German name?
Dammerschlaf.
Yep. The first surgical operation to use a general anaesthetic took place in Boston in 1846. The surgeon was John Warren, and the anaesthetic was administered by William Morton. The operation was performed at which hospital?
Boston General.
Massachusetts General. Morton's involvement in the operation in 1846 was at the invitation of Warren, and it took place in front of other doctors and students. At the end of the surgery, he turned to the audience and said, "Gentlemen, this is no..."
Humbug.
Yes. The Swedish surgeon Paul Frenkner developed a mechanical ventilator based on the flashing light system used in navigational buoys. What was the ventilator called?
Sporopysata.
Yes. The drug intocostrin is a purified preparation of a substance that was used by South American Indians to make poison arrows. The substance is commonly known by what name?
Curare.
Yep. In the dunked dog experiment performed by Arthur Goodell in 1926, an anaesthetized dog was submerged in a tank of water to demonstrate the safety of a tracheal tube for use in surgery. What was the dog's name?
Airway.
Yes. For a short period in the early 20th century, ethylene gas was used as an anaesthetic, but it fell out of favour because it had a tendency to explode. Its potential for use in surgery was realised when it was noticed that the gas would inhibit the growth of a certain flower. What flower?
Carnation.
Yes, indeed. No passes, Kitty. You have scored 9 points.
Thank you.
And our final contender, please. And your name is?
Jacqueline Jones,
Your occupation?
yoga teacher.
And your chosen subject?
Stormzy.
Stormzy. His real name is Michael Omari. Very successful indeed. Here we go. Stormzy released his debut album in 2017, which earned him a MOBO Award for Best Album, as well as an Ivor Novello Award. What's the title of the album?
Gang Signs and Prayer.
Yep. In 2017, Stormzy launched a grime festival on a Mediterranean island. He himself headlined the one-day event. The lineup also included performers such as Dave, J-Hus and Ray BLK. The event was held on which island?
Ibiza.
Yep. Before he made a name for himself in the music industry, Stormzy studied at college in Leamington Spa as part of an apprenticeship in which subject?
Engineering.
Yeah. Stormzy won his first MOBO Award in 2014 while he was still unsigned to a record label. His fellow nominees for the award included more established acts such as Skepta, Wiley and Lethal Bizzle. In which category was the award?
Best Grime Artist.
Yep. Stormzy grew up in Croydon, and at a book launch for Murky Books in 2018, he commented that his early years were demarcated by the route of a London bus. That was the world, that was the whole world. I didn't know nothing outside of that, he said. What number bus?
11.
109. Stormzy performed as a headline act on the Pyramid stage at the 2019 Glastonbury Festival and famously wore a stab-proof vest with a Union flag design. The vest was designed by which visual artist?
Banksy.
Yeah. Stormzy co-founded the Murky brand name, which links his record label, his publishing imprint with Penguin, and his grime festival in Ibiza with his manager, a friend who'd previously worked in a car dealership. What's his name?
Toby Akuwo.
Onwuka.
Oh.
Stormzy was one of more than 50 artists, including Robbie Williams and James Blunt, who featured in a charity single for survivors of the Grenfell Tower fire. What's the title of the song?
Pass.
Stormzy's first solo UK #1 single was Vossi Pop, which topped the chart in May 2019. The lyrics of the song mention Boris Johnson, the British actor Idris Elba, who makes a cameo appearance in the video, as well as an American television and film star. What's his name?
Chuck Norris.
Is correct. One pass, Jacqueline. That charity single for survivors of the Grenfell Tower fire, it was Bridge Over Troubled Water. Jacqueline, you have 6 points.
Thank you.
Nice and close that round. Let's have a look at all of the scores. In fourth place with 6 points, Jacqueline. Third place with 7 points, Peter. Second place with 8 points, Jonathan. First place with 9 points, Kitty. So now it is the general knowledge round. And if there's a tie at the end of it, then the number of passes is taken into account, and the person with the fewer passes is the winner. And if they're tied on passes as well, then there has to be a tie break. So let's ask Jacqueline to join us again, please. And Jacqueline, you start out with 6 points. And of course, this being the general knowledge round, there's 2.5 minutes for you to catch up and overtake the field, or not. Here we go. One of the 3 driver's pedals in a manual car is absent in an automatic car. Which one?
Clutch.
Yep. What's the first name of the fictional detective from Northumberland with the surname Stanhope? She's based on a character created by Anne Cleeves and has been played on television by Brenda Blethyn since 2011.
Vera.
Yep. A blue Star of David appears on the national flag of which country?
Israel.
Yep. Which American boxer became the oldest world heavyweight champion when he regained the title in 1994 at the age of 45? He'd first won it in 1973.
George Foreman.
Yep. What Russian word for a citadel is the name given to the fortress building beside Moscow's Red Square, which serves as the official residence of the President of Russia?
The Kremlin.
Yep. In the film and stage musical Mary Poppins, a character known as the Bird Woman urges passers-by to buy food from her to feed the birds. How much does a bag cost?
Tuppence.
Yep. What infectious disease has a name that's commonly abbreviated to the letters TB?
Tuberculosis.
Yep. What name for a people of northern Scotland is believed to derive from the Latin for painted? They were defeated by the Scottish King Kenneth I in AD 843.
Picts.
Yep. Which butterfly with deep maroon wings that have a row of blue spots and an edging of cream takes its name from the district of southeast London where it was first recorded in 1748?
Peckham.
Camberwell Beauty, the writer whose best-known novels include The Grass is Singing and The Golden Notebook, became the oldest person to win the Nobel Prize in Literature when she won it in 2007 at the age of 88. What was her name?
Doris Lessing.
Yes. Which Serbian-American inventor and engineer developed the alternating current system of electrical supply? The unit of measurement for magnetic flux density is named after him.
Diesel.
Tesla. The front cover of the influential 1967 album The Velvet Underground and Nico bears an image of what fruit?
Banana.
Yeah. From 1961 till 91, a specific senior position in the Church of England was held successively by Michael Ramsey, Donald Coggan and Robert Runcie. What position?
Archbishop of Canterbury.
Yep. Which instalment in the Marvel Avengers franchise overtook Avatar in July 2019 to become the world's highest-grossing film?
Black Panther.
Endgame. What word for a type of fish follows the word loan in a common term for a person who lends money at extremely high rates of interest?
Shark.
Yeah. A major museum in London renamed one of its galleries the Elton John and David Furnish Gallery after the singer pledged funds to the museum's photography centre. Which museum?
Courtauld Institute.
Victoria and Albert. An additional, well, I've started, so I'll finish. An additional definition for a weather-related word was added to the Oxford English Dictionary in January 2018. It's a pejorative term for someone who's thought to be overly sensitive or who feels entitled to special treatment. What word?
Snowflake.
Snowflake is correct. You have gone from 6, Jacqueline, to 19 points.
Thank you.
And next up, Peter again. And Peter, you start out with 7. 19 is now the score to beat. 2.5 minutes on general knowledge. Here we go. What term for a clue that's intended to mislead or distract comes from the practice of dragging a smoked fish across a trail to put hunting dogs off the scent?
Lure.
Red herring. In film and television production, the letters SFX are used as an abbreviation of what term?
Special effects.
Yeah. Which stage musical features the songs Tomorrow and It's a Hard Knock Life?
Carousel.
Annie. What synthetic material widely used in packaging was developed after it was produced accidentally in an experiment that went wrong at the ICI laboratories in Northwich in 1933?
Cellophane.
Polythene. What's the nickname of the men's national rugby union team of Australia? The name comes from that of a marsupial native to the country.
The Wallabies.
Yeah. Whose 1955 book A Rose for Winter tells of his return to Spain several years after the end of the Civil War, where he'd fought on the Republican side?
Autumn.
Laurie Lee. What French term translates as fat liver? The term is often used as an abbreviated name for a type of pâté.
Francois.
Yeah. A member of the hip-hop group The Fugees announced his intention to stand in the presidential election in his native Haiti in 2010, but was deemed ineligible by the country's electoral council. What's his name?
Pass.
The 1912 artwork entitled Nude Descending a Staircase, No. 2, was controversial because it depicted the movement of a nude figure rather than the more traditional reclining pose. Which artist painted the
Marcel
work?
Duchamp.
Yes, the name of the phylum that includes insects, arachnids and crustaceans comes from Greek words for joint and foot. What name?
Arthropod.
Yes, Kigali was chosen as the capital city of a country in Central Africa when it gained independence from Belgium in 1962. Which country?
Rwanda.
Yes, a word for a rubber or plastic washer used to insulate electric conductors inspired the name of a dog who is one of the main characters in a series of Oscar-winning stop-motion animations. What's the dog's name?
Pluto.
Gromit. Reddish-brown hair colour is known by a name derived from a French word that means whitish. What name?
Pass.
The Four Noble Truths are a central doctrine of which major religion?
Buddhism.
Yes, in 2018, America withdrew from the Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action, a multinational agreement signed 3 years earlier to try to limit the nuclear program of a Middle Eastern country. Which country?
Iraq.
Iran. What's the title of the 2017 play by James Graham about the case of Charles Ingram, who was convicted of cheating on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire? A television adaptation of the play was broadcast in 2020.
Cheat.
Quiz. You had 2 passes, that reddish-brown hair colour, auburn, and Wyclef Jean was the member of the hip-hop group The Fugees who wanted to be president of Haiti. You have scored, Peter, 14 points. And now Jonathan again, please. And you start out, Jonathan, with 8 points. The score to beat is still 19. Here we go. In the Roman Catholic Church, Supreme Pontiff is an alternative title for the holder of which post?
Pope.
Yep, in chess, which pieces can be promoted into more powerful pieces if they reach the opposing player's back row of the board?
Knight.
Pawns. Tor Shaun is the capital of a group of islands around 200 miles north of mainland Scotland, which form an autonomous region of Denmark. Which islands?
Pass.
An American tennis player gained her first Grand Slam tournament victory when she won the women's singles title at the 2020 Australian Open. What's her name?
Sophia Kenan.
Yep. A mole, a water rat, and a toad are the main characters in a 1908 children's book by Kenneth Grahame. What book?
Wind in the Willows.
Yep. Juan Carlos I, who ascended the restored Spanish throne in 1975, is a member of which royal house? It has ruled Spain, albeit with some breaks, since 1700.
Pass.
A 1970 UK music festival, often compared to Woodstock, had a lineup that included Jimi Hendrix, The Who and The Doors, and attracted an estimated crowd of 600,000 people. Festival took place on which island?
Isle of Wight.
Yep. A form of authorised regular payment from a person's bank account is commonly abbreviated on a statement to the letters DD. In this context, what do the letters DD stand for?
Direct debit.
Yep. Sideshow Bob is a recurring character in the animated sitcom The Simpsons. Which well-known actor provides his voice?
Kelsey Grammer.
Yep. What name is given to the study of projectiles, such as bullets fired from a gun? It's derived from a Greek word that means to throw.
Missilology.
Ballistics. In 2019, which Oscar-winning actress accepted BAFTA's Stanley Kubrick Britannia Award for Excellence in Film while she was being arrested in Washington, D.C. during a climate change protest?
Pass.
The word tangelo for a hybrid citrus fruit is a blend of pomelo and the name of what other fruit?
Tangerine.
Yep. Which terrier is named after a town in Northumberland where the breed was popular with local coal mining families?
Durham.
Bedlington. A best-selling memoir by the cookery writer Nigel Slater about his childhood was adapted for the stage and had its premiere in 2018. What's the play's title?
Simple Suppers.
Toast. The Garn Railway covers a distance of more than 1,800 miles across Australia from Adelaide in the south to another city on the north coast. Which city?
Brisbane.
Darwin. And that's it. Time up. You had 3 passes, Jonathan. Jane Fonda was that actress who was arrested during a climate change protest. That Spanish royal house was the House of Bourbon. And Tórshavn is the capital of the Faroe Islands. You have, Jonathan, 15 points. And finally, Kitty again, please. And Kitty, you start out with 9 points, and still to beat is 19. So let's see if you can do it and get through to the semi-finals. Here we go. Bell-bottoms are a style of what garment?
Trousers.
Yep, the synthesized material cubic zirconia is commonly used in jewellery as a cheaper imitation of what colourless gemstone?
Diamond.
Yep. Which Scottish poet and novelist's early works include translations of German romantic poems and the 3-volume collection of ballads Minstrelsy of the Scottish Border, first published in the early 19th century?
Burns.
Scott. From 1971 till 97, the Democratic Republic of the Congo was known by what name?
Brazzaville.
Zaire. The Irish golfer who held the winning putt gave Europe victory at the 2002 Ryder Cup jumped into the lake in celebration. What's his name?
Rory McIlroy.
Paul McGinley. Which West End musical based on a book by Gregory Maguire is a reimagining of the story and characters from The Wizard of Oz?
Wicked.
Yep. Who was the First Lady of the United States who told students at Elizabeth Garrett Anderson School in London in 2009, if you want to know the reason why I'm standing here, it's because of education. I never cut class.
Michelle Obama.
Yeah. Which filmmaker, born in Staffordshire in 1972, co-wrote and directed the films Once Upon a Time in the Midlands, Dead Man's Shoes, and This Is England?
Danny Boyle.
Shane Meadows. Loops, arches, and whorls are the patterns most commonly used to categorize what feature of the human body?
Fingerprints.
Yes, an American television comedy series stars Kristen Bell as a woman named Eleanor, who has recently died and arrives in the afterlife. What's the title of the series?
Welcome.
The Good Place. A kippa, also known as a yarmulke, is worn by Orthodox Jews on which part of the body?
The head.
Yep, which 1977 album by Fleetwood Mac features the UK hit singles Go Your Own Way, Don't Stop, and Dreams? It topped the UK chart the following year, has since made regular appearances in the top 40.
Inspiration.
Rumours. In 1815, the future King George IV commissioned an eminent British architect to redevelop the building now known as the Brighton Pavilion into an Indian-style palace. Which architect?
Macintosh.
John Nash. A form of bicycle racing over rough terrain is known as BMX. What do the letters MX stand for in this abbreviation?
Motocross.
Yeah. What's the name of the huge power station near Selby in North Yorkshire? It opened in 1974 as a coal-fired facility, but has since switched mainly to biomass in the form of wood pellets.
Woodville.
Drax, a painting in the collection of London's National Gallery known as Self-Portrait at the age of 63, was painted by a Dutch artist in 1669, the year of his death. Which artist?
Vermeer.
Rembrandt. No passes. Kitty, 16 points.
Thank you.
And so let's have a look at the final scores. In fourth place with 14 points, Peter. Third place with 15 points, Jonathan. Second place with 16 points, Kitty. First place with 19 points, Jacqueline. Which means, of course, that she goes through to the semi-finals. Congratulations to her. And if you would like to be a contender in the next series, do go to our website, bbc.co.uk/mastermind. And you can follow us at Mastermind Quiz. And do join us again next time for more Masterminds. And thanks for watching. Goodbye.
What I've learned through yoga is just try and be in the moment if you can, not overthink things too much. And when I was sitting in the black chair, I was thinking about trying to keep my breath under control, listen to the questions, and just be in the now. I chose Stormzy for my specialist subject because I was very interested in his sort of Christianity combined with this kind of very urban grime idea. It got me really interested in him as a person and where he came from, how he grew up, really interested me about him.
His manager, who'd previously worked in a car dealership. What's his name?
Toby Akuwo.
Onwuka.
So I was really annoyed I didn't get Toby's surname right because I do know it. It's just kind of in the moment. And also the artist for Grenfell song, I knew it so well, and yet I just could not bring it to mind. Pass. I think I need to up my game with my specialist subject a bit, especially when it's a semi-final.